Joshua Jorgensen, July 14, 1979. I grew up on the east side of Des Moines, actually, in Des Moines. After I graduated, I'd tried to go to school for a while, take some college classes. What didn't really work out for me. I wasn't much into the learning environment anymore. Couldn't find anything I really wanted to do. I had worked full-time for a while, but it wasn't anything that I wanted to do either. And in 1999, the Columbine shooting happened out in Colorado. And I remember that being plastered all across the news and everything on TV for days on end. And I remember watching it kind of over and over and over again. And while it was going on, the one thing that just jumped off the screen at me was the very small group of men running towards the building. And that's when it was really like, man, like, I want to do that. Like that's what I want to do. And I just walked into the recruiter station and said, hey, I want to sign up, and I want to be in the infantry, and I want to jump out of planes, I want to go to Ranger School, and I want to do all. And he kind of, well, hold on, and without even knowing it, you just build these relationships with guys that you never met before and grew up in whole different culture and whole different part of the country. Meanwhile, it's almost like you don't know anybody that you grew up with anymore. You don't know, you hardly know your family anymore, because it's been, you just reintegrated into a different part of life. So it was kind of a whirlwind, really. And then also because about another 6 months later, then 9/11 happened. Road marched out to a training site where we were going to be doing live fire stuff all day long. Just a live fire range. It wasn't anything too big, and we were just going to be there for the day. When our company XO actually pulled up in his pickup truck while we were sitting there waiting for a range cadre to show up and waiting for the ammunition to be dropped off and everything, he pulls up and he says, guys, you got to listen to the radio. Someone just bombed the Pentagon. And we're like, what? Like, we thought, well, this is just part of the training. Mm-hmm. He's just joking around with us, like getting us fired up to do this live fire event. And so we gathered around his truck, and it actually is on the radio. Come to find out, they didn't bomb the Pentagon, but somebody flew a plane into the Pentagon. And we just thought, well, that's weird, but we still didn't think anything. Mm-hmm. He got a phone call on his cell phone, and back then, like, not everybody had cell phones, but he had a cell phone. He got a phone call, said we needed to get back on the main post as soon as possible. And so he hangs up the phone and he goes, boys, they're not sending trucks for us. They've already locked down main post. We have to road march back to main post. We're going to war. It became this whole new dynamic of training, because you're shoot, move, communicate, and you're coming behind a log or a tree and going, that's not going to be there. Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't the environment. Like, stop playing the environment. Mm-hmm. You got to start, training to the book. Then it became known that we were going to Kuwait to basically show force against Iraq and Saddam. Had a fire team that I was in charge of. I was really just focused on that. This was it was almost kind of an overwhelming thing that you just kind of live in your own little world at that point. After the 3 days of kind of climatizing to the weather, then we just got right back into training. And now we actually are in the open desert. We get the radio communication from Eagle 6, General Petraeus, that we're heading north to Baghdad. So we loaded up and took off across the border, and that was that. And then we actually got diverted to Najaf, which is more southern of Baghdad. No matter where you go, routine follows you. especially in the military. Routine sometimes is your saving grace from going crazy. We would run daily patrols. During those daily patrols, then we're scouting areas of opportunity, because then at night we're running our real patrols, and we're running our real, we would run, we did snatch and grabs, we did, just all out assaults, we did, reconnaissance missions, we did all sorts, you name it, we were doing it. But those daily patrols really became the routine, just to show the locals that we were there. Because what we found as soon as we crossed the border, what we found was, 90% of the civilian population actually wanted us to be there. Whether they admitted it or not, they wanted Saddam gone. It was a whirlwind. It was just a daily thing. It got to a point where, half the time you didn't know what day it was, you didn't know what time it was, you didn't know anything. You were just going, and when you needed to go, you needed to go, and do whatever needed to be done. It didn't matter if all you knew was it was light outside or it was dark outside. and if it was dark outside, you had a much better chance of getting shot at. If it was light outside, it might have been an easy patrol. Just ended up getting a civilian job. I worked construction for my uncle, building custom homes in Des Moines, and then because it wasn't paying all that great, ended up getting a job at the John Deere factory. Not really getting along with civilian life in general, just dealing with daily life of, oh, we're going to go out to eat tonight, or we're going to make something to eat. Being isolated, being so far away from my tribe, being in an area where people just don't understand. Just continued to just eat away at me, and I never could really understand it, and I couldn't get back into that thinking again, that this was a big deal. And I said, I just need to go work out or something. And I didn't want to go to a gym. I wasn't a gym bro or anything like that. And, so I just, the thing that made the most sense was just, I'll just go for a run. Well, I made it to the school. Maybe I'll run here. And next thing I know is about an hour, little over an hour later, I'd gone 10 miles and I was back home. And I felt great. I was like, man, that was easy. That was awesome. And it all just came back to me. So I started doing that every day. After a few years of running some distances, and there were some times where I'm going to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got this 30-mile route. I'm just going to run the whole 30 miles. I'm just going to put on a little pack on my back. Then it became I didn't own any running gear. All the gear I owned was military gear. And I became this military runner. So I didn't even own a pair of running shoes. I was running in boots all the time. Because I felt that sense of that challenge. It gave me something to do. It gave me something to focus on. And then at the time, I didn't think anything would ever happen with it. 2004 into 2005, into 2006. I had run some marathons up to that point. I had been challenging myself with some different things, and I did a stair climb downtown. I'm going to buy a military issue pro mask, and I'm going to do the stair climb in that pro mask. It's the American Lung Association, plus I'm doing it for the veterans, right? Because at that time I had started running marathons just wearing a veteran organization shirt or something like that. And I showed up to this practice day, and people were like, what are you doing? You're insane. And I said, yeah, maybe, but I think it's a good idea. So I showed up to this practice day, and I run up the flight of stairs, and I get to the top, and I'm not even winded. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I take the elevator back down, and they're like, you back to try it again? I'm like, yeah, I'm back again. I ended up being the only one that was there the entire 3 hours, running the entire time. I ran up, elevator down, run up, elevator down for 3 hours. And these people are like, you seeing what this guy's doing? Have you seen this guy? look at what this guy's doing. And I'm like all of a sudden I'm like this celebrity because I'm doing something that to me is just a challenge for me. That started to change my mindset then. Like, man, this is like, it's creating conversation. It's creating, people are asking me why I'm doing it. Well, I'm doing it for my guys. I'm doing it for my tribe of veterans that are out there. These running events have drawn me out of my isolation. It's given me something to think about, given me something to do, to look forward to. Immediately, like, signed up for a 50-mile race out in Colorado in the mountains, like 12,000 feet of elevation. I just threw it on GoFundMe account. I'm going to raise money for Nine Line Foundation. Please donate, whatever. So I've raised money for the Lung Foundation, and I'm raising money for this now. Do well there. So then immediately, like within a month, I signed up for a marathon down in Kansas City, the Garmin Marathon. And I'm like, I'm going to run this full marathon with this gas mask on. It constricts your view so much that you're just kind of running in this bubble for hours. I had to retrain myself on how to breathe for an extended period of time like that. I broke my foot actually doing an event unrelated to the 12 marathons about halfway through the year. So I couldn't finish. I'm just going to move on to the next thing. What's the next thing? What's the bigger, better thing? Well, running across the state. I mean, that's like a no-brainer. Like, I could just start on one side, run across the other. I've heard of people doing it before. I've thought about doing it before when I was a kid, doing something similar anyway. Like, man, that'd be totally doable. But then in December, just a few months later, I had some heart issues going on. And so I had to go to the ER, and I was in arrhythmia, what ended up being AFib. They had to jump my heart back into rhythm. I had to go to cardiologist, go through some testing. They found some congenital heart defects that I had when I was born that I never knew I had. And I needed surgery like right now. Yeah, okay, I had open heart surgery, but this isn't about me. This is about what the run represents. This is about the run itself. And I said, I've just got to get healthy enough to do it. I've got plenty of time to get healthy. The only way I'm not going to make it is if I lay around and feel sorry for myself. But as soon as I could run, I went out and I ran a 5K. Like the very first day I was cleared to run. So I had from May to September, and I already knew I'm going to make it. So then I just continued training throughout the summer. And I had planned the route specifically to self-support myself the whole way across the state. Just at the start of the first day, I'm just running along, and I start getting messages through the Facebook page that, hey, we've arranged for a place you to stay tonight. We'll just let you stay in the church. We have a bed for you in there and everything, and we have shower and stuff. The next day I get a message, hey, I met you today. I have a friend who lives in this town that you're stopping in tonight, and they said you could stay at their house. Every single night I had a place to stay. Every single night somebody gave me dinner. So the last day just seemed to last forever until finally we're running up a hill, and underneath the trees just water. There's a big crowd of people standing there right on the banks. My wife was there, so I just ran, gave her a hug, and run down the rocks to the edge of the bank, and I just stand on the bank, and right then it just like everything hit me. Like I just completed this, and it just created this awareness. So I just wanted to bring that together through that run. Was there are people out there that care. And no matter what happens through the day, you keep moving forward, because around that next corner might be that person there to help. It might be that next stopping point. And you just need to find your tribe again. And whether you like to do CrossFit, or whether you like to run, or whether you like to play golf, or whether you like to knit quilts, I don't know. There's an organization out there that wants you to join them in the battle, and they want to help.